Now, we're at a hedge fund conference. I mean, you have argued a lot about the tension between neoliberalism and democracy. If there's anything that you want to, what is the message that you would like to give to these people about the dangers of modern day finance?
Well, you may have noticed that I had a pretty good reception, which is also indicative of the problems of Europe.
Yeah.
Because when somebody as left-wing as I am says the same things to left-wingers and to hedge fund managers and gets applause from both, it means that we're in serious trouble.
Right.
What it means is that we've now reached a situation where both capital and labor are suffering the consequences of a depression, a deflationary moment in history. And during that moment, the old class conflict, capital versus labor, goes away, because both capital and labor suffer. The impression I get, and I think it's a very strong one and quite an objective one, is one of helplessness. So it's not that you have a...
Globally?
Globally.
Yeah.
Globally. One of complete helplessness. Of being, or everyone, including the powerful, hedge fund managers, even Mario Draghi, they feel that they are playthings of forces beyond their control, because humanity has lost control of its destiny as a result of the lack of democracy. And the fact that we have this mutual reinforcement mechanism between authoritarianism and bad outcomes. Look, there are crises that are redemptive, like forest fires that are light and they simply regenerate the forest. They get rid of built-up fuel, which is important. You can have recessions that are redemptive, recessions that simply correct the excesses of the past and create the creative destruction Schumpeter idea. Huh? But then, when there are some forest fires that are so catastrophic that destroy even the seeds and therefore prevent the regeneration of the forest, this is the kind of crisis we are in, and this is called a depression, a deflationary moment. So think 1980s, early 1980s, crisis. Early 1990s, crisis. Early 2000s, with the dot-com bubble bursting, crisis. But these were not catastrophic crises. There was a quick pickup afterwards. They were of the redemptive type, even though there were a lot of victims in each one case. 1929, 2008, not so. Deep ones. And this is why we're at such a critical juncture at the moment. Think about it, for 6 years now, 7 years, 8 years, we have not managed to recover. No one has recovered, really. China has created a huge bubble in order to keep going, in the knowledge that the crisis was so deep that they needed to create a bubble to give the West an opportunity to get its act together so that the West could rebalance and then China would deflate its bubble slowly. But the West has not gotten its act together. And this is the reason why helplessness is the dominant sentiment these days. As I said, technically, all these things are easily solvable problems. Politically is the problem.
Well, you gave the example of the European Investment Bank, for instance, but that is only in the context of Europe.
But we have the G20. Right. The G20 could convene a new Bretton Woods. What was Bretton Woods? It was an attempt by our nations to get together and reboot the world economy after a major catastrophe. We need something like that. It won't be the same as Bretton Woods in 1944. We are not going to have constant fixed exchange rates, but we can have something that resembles a global coordination between our investment banks, sovereign wealth funds, and central banks. We haven't had that. Why don't we? It's not a free rider problem, I insist. It's not that some of us have an incentive to let others do it when we are not doing it. This is like recycling or garbage. If everybody recycles, you don't need to. It's okay. So no one recycles and everybody's worse off. That's a free rider problem. When you want to cheat, You have an incentive to cheat. That's a free rider problem. It's like polluting. But in this case, in the case of the global capitalist crisis, this is not a free rider problem because it is not in my interest not to invest if you invest. But I will not invest if you invest. So what we need to do is to coordinate so that we all invest. I doubt it, because their business model is predicated on taking advantage of a disequilibrium. Look, I don't really believe hedge funds would be a problem if politicians in Europe did the right thing and created sustainable growth. Because Keynes had a beautiful expression once. I'm not sure I remember it verbatim, but he said something like that. Bubbles of speculation on a steady stream of investment are fine. But when you have a huge bubble and no steady stream of investment underneath, that is the problem.